her position on this bike. She is just flawless, isn't she? And you can see the way she has got her head positioned as well, and that little look up and then tuck back into position, and it makes all the difference.
Well, you're starting to see athletes eat into those around them. Marta Hussens just comes by Mauritius, Marigan Legesse, and over to the other side of the road, and absolutely just tracing a golden thread through this tapestry of pain. Gosh, I need to get a T-shirt made with that phrase on it. Van der Breggen tucks in, a little bit of shuffle here on the saddle. You see her encroaching the front. Let's see her readjust herself again in a moment. This is one of the things that can actually hamper you as on a time trial run is if you can't stay planted. And it's a difficult thing to mitigate against. We've had gripper saddles in the past. We've had some rather challenging looks, to be honest. Tony Martin once decided that he was going to get his own gripper saddle and decided to glue wet and dry sandpaper on his saddle. Unfortunately, it began to eat through his kit, and then it began to eat through him. And that wasn't a good look. So yes, there was an allowance, and some of the technology is actually built-in gripper saddles, and so the what we used to call butt shuffle has actually kind of ebbed a little bit. But occasionally you see riders just struggling to find that comfortable position. It's a mark of how much power they're putting in that they get out of position and then have to readjust. If you're constantly readjusting, it doesn't help.
It doesn't, but if you look at how solid she is now in this position, I think it's all about, I've talked about, you know, surprises on the day, haven't I? And the conditions, you can't utterly predict them down to the finest elements of, you know, exactly what the temperature is going to be, how the exact humidity is going to be the week you come into competition. But if anybody knows exactly what to expect from herself and the position, but you're right, yeah, there's some shifting around there, but she is very, very used to being in this TT position. She has put hours upon hours and hours and hours, not only throughout her entire career to perfect this, but recently she will have put such a big focus on today as well. We talked earlier about the fact that we've got some really big names absent from the men's field, the women's field, and whether or not they thought they could target a result today. The fact that Anna van der Breggen is fielding this TT means she is well drilled and well prepared to do something special.
That's the voice of Rebecca Charlton, who's joined me, Carlton Kirby, here for the UCI Road World Championships. We're in Kigali, in Rwanda. Well, there's been population here since 8,000 BC they've found evidence of. And quite a few things have changed. We're having a bit of a party right now. And that's because this is the first time, of course, that the World Championships have been held here on the African continent. And it won't be the last, because it's been absolutely spectacular. Beautifully organised, and of course, our thanks to the UCI and Monsieur Lepartillon, and indeed everybody who have collected together to produce what has been an amazing achievement. And just look at it as well. We have retina-fizzing sunshine. It is glorious. There's very little wind. There will be even conditions for absolutely everyone throughout the run. A near-perfect time trial, you might say. Well, some time trialists will possibly disagree with you, basically saying this is maybe not for the purists, but that makes it even more entertaining, because the questions that now we have as to who will thrive in this field have widened. We've got classics riders who can actually push the time trial bikes spectacularly so. And in fact, it's not the first time that the World Championships, the time trial, has featured altitude, but there's a lot in this course. We've got 460 metres of elevation gain spread over the 31.2 kilometres of the course, which is significant over such a short distance. So there are rises and falls, there's cobble sections as well. It's brilliant.
It's utterly brilliant, and it's even more brilliant because there were elements of the course that we'd all had a look at prior to today, thinking they might not be as taxing as they could be, but they evidently are. That final section is brutal after everything else they've contended with. And with the duration of today that we're looking at, this level of distance for a time trial and that elevation gain, it is all about not going into the red too early in those early time splits, as we just see Anna van der Breggen there, overtaking Tennille Campbell, who went out ahead of her today, of course, for Trinidad and Tobago. But here we are with Anna van der Breggen, and I keep talking about the importance of pacing, and it's even more important when you're looking at riders taking on the altitude that they are at today, and the things like the air quality, the humidity. If you go into the red on a climb, it's bad. If you go into tude with that to contend with as well, recovery becomes all the more difficult each kilometre you go on.
Urška Zirgut, Slovenia, in their familiar national green, Slovenian racing green, apparently. There we are. We will, of course, be seeing that in the men's race a little bit later on as well. A certain Mr. Tadej Pogačar, you may have heard of him. He will be going off.
He's not bad.
He's all right, you know. Well, he can push a pedal.
Just about.
Meanwhile, we come back to this spectacular. It's the finish at the convention centre here, and Ugset is going to unseat Bao Zhang, who has only just finished, and, well, we said that some of the best may well be busting the 45. We're not quite there just yet, but we're getting close. This is going to be sub 46, and Zhao Zhang is also rather wonderfully applauding.
Gracious.
That's just lovely to see, isn't
yeah.
it? You know, she's still got the velvet throne as it stands at the moment, but
celebrating there
exactly.
for Sigrid Ytters Haugset coming in here.
How lovely. Line is about to welcome Ugset. She's still got this little rise and fall to deal with. The margin is going to be less than a minute, I think, by the time she reaches the line. But what a performance this is. Just about there. Here we go. She trims 59 seconds for a 46.24. And rather wonderfully, Zhao Zhang applauds her rival for what she has just achieved.
Yeah, she knew, didn't she? She knew she was off on her way out of the hot seat and took a moment to celebrate the time of Sigrid Ytters Haugset here. And yeah, that's a nice moment.
Absolutely wonderful. It's a glorious day, isn't it? It's it reminds me, this road, of the run down from the ridge down to Eyam. Oh, yeah. I'm talking Derbyshire. Only because of the greenery, perhaps, but not the weather. And I've got to say, not the food either. They do a spectacular here. Some of the cuisine in these parts of the world are absolutely wonderful. So yeah, got a little bit of a piquancy to it as well. If you care to enjoy, some of the open air restaurants here are absolutely gorgeous. It's a film festival here as well.
Look at that smile.
How lovely. She's done it. She's finished.
It's well, land of 1,000 hills.
Yeah.
Is where we
we've
have.
Done them all today.
Just as I say, look at this setting, land of 1,000 hills, and it's not an easy course.
No, it's not. After which, cup of tea. Why not? These are the tea plantations, and rather beautiful they are as well. In fact, some of the black tea that you enjoy does indeed come from Africa. You talk about all the tea in China, Indian tea as well. Africa produces some amazing teas, and I've got to tell you that here in Rwanda they're particularly proud of their brew. We'll be having one a little bit later. Meanwhile, this is Sigrid is our leader for the time being. I do fancy a cup of tea, actually, but anyway.
This is what I'm interested to see, Carlton, is how much Anna van der Breggen keeps the pressure on down the descents. And I was thinking she's going to start pedaling some of these downwards roads, and that is evidently the amount of power that this rider is able to get out of each part of this course. And we know how fast these descents are, but gearing again has been such a consideration coming into today to get over the ramps, but to really maximize what you can do, because when you're looking at those top three places today, the medal contention places, that is going to mean everything in terms of how much power they can keep carrying, of course, at every point today.
You know what? In any kind of speed event, and I remember talking to the great Terry Ry'Amagare It was an endurance motorcyclist, 24-hour motorcycle racing. I said, how is it you're so dominant? And he said, by making the easy bits hard. And I just thought that is absolutely right, and we're seeing that. We're seeing that from Anna van der Breggen. It's an easy bit. Don't take a break. This is where you can make a difference, because if everyone else is taking a break, power through, make the easy bit hard, and you're going to do something spectacular.
Exactly that, and we know in this sport that's what it takes, that's what it comes down to. Did you manage to carry a little bit of power through a section that somebody else didn't? That could win it. Here's Niewiadoma.
Make the easy bits hard. Listen to Terry.
That. It's so true.
Here we go, Niewiadoma, and that's a big giveaway, I'm afraid. A minute and a half down at this point. That's a surprise.
It is a surprise. Kasia Niewiadoma, we know her class, we know her all-round ability as well, that she can really succeed in different disciplines, but looking to suffer there.
Look at that, the way that curve was and how quickly she was not fearful about grounding a pedal. That is knowing your machine apart from anything else, knowing your lean angles, knowing when you can get the power on as you come out of a corner without actually getting yourself destabilized and into trouble. She kept that so smooth. This is wisdom.
It is wisdom, and that's what she brings to our sport, and that's why I'm so delighted she is back in this fold of the World Tour peloton at the very top end of it. And I think, going back to my point before, when she announced that she'd come back, there were big question marks over whether you can be out of the sport. We know she would have kept training, of course, she evidently did, but whether or not you can translate that into race success is another thing. And she came into the Spring Classics and did exactly that. And I think we then had such high expectations of her all season and just went back into thinking of her as an out-and-out favourite, forgetting that she's been away from this sport. So, yeah, I mean, we're going to get some more answers today. But here's Anna Kiesenhofer, who many people will, of course, remember from her win at the Olympic Games in Tokyo, where she just, she made a staggering move and secured that victory, and I think surprised herself, although perhaps not, because I think she was well aware of her capabilities. But she's had a really interesting journey in this sport, coming out of the pro team fold for 2025 and actually taking on a coaching role in Team Picnic Postanel and the team staff behind the scenes. But she's completely decided, right, I'm going to focus in on the World Championships today in the time trial.
Gosh, this looks like a challenging start, I must say, for Ry'Isi. Hope she's okay. I mean, to me, Ry'Isi is potentially our favourite for today. So Marlon gets herself ready and underway. This is going to be very, very special. Reigning Swiss time trial champion. Swiss time, of course. Swiss time is running out. Famous line. Which song was that? Smoke on the Water, of course. Deep Purple. We know that.
I didn't.
Deep into the red. Hoosens, and I'm afraid 47.53. Should be a little disappointed with that, I'm afraid. We'll get back to Marlon Ry'Isi in a few moments' time. 3 medals, 2 silvers and a bronze she's had, of course, in the Worlds. But last year suffered a bit of burnout, which is a shame. Self-declared, I've got to say. But yes, she is, when it comes to time trialling, absolutely spectacular. Forced to abandon Tour de France Femmes in July due to illness, which is something that you have to retrieve to bounce back from. And in fact, everyone's going to get bad luck in their career, and illness, I think, is one of the most unlucky things, because it's got nothing to do with form. It's got nothing to do with kind of injury, really, and your recovery rates, or indeed your dedication. You can't mitigate against getting ill, and it happens to everybody. But you've got to get back from it, haven't you?
It's really hard. It's really hard, because I think there's been so many big narratives that played into how good this season's been, and I genuinely believe that this, for me, is the best season of women's cycling we have ever had. It has just been spectacular.
That's because you've been commentating it, obviously.
Yeah. God. And I think, and we've got eyes on Kiesenhofer here. It'll be really interesting to see what she can do today. And but back to your point there on Marlen Reusser. There was a lot of illness going around, stomach bug sickness, and we know that that can spread not only throughout a team, you're all sharing rooms, you're at a Grand Tour together, but it can transcend that and go for the entire peloton. And we saw so many people with huge targets of coming in spectacular form to the Tour de France Femme avec Zwift being immediately taken out with illness. Of course, most prominently being Marlen Reusser to fall victim of that illness. And she was quite open, as she normally is in interviews, which I love because she's so candid. But she was saying, yeah, I'm just too unwell to even consider being at my peak, and we saw that very early on, forcing her to retire. There's Brodie Chapman of Australia starting, another person that we always talk about in a time trial because, as you'll see, she is able to push it to the limit. Well,
in Oz, everyone, of course, is a time trialist because it's how you start your game, really. Race against the clock, point to points, out and backs, as they're sometimes called. So out into the outback and then back again. So yeah, defending national champion is Brodie Chapman, and you don't wear the green and gold for nothing. She is absolutely fabulous. We love the Aussies and the way that they absolutely are so attack-minded. A sporting-based nation is how Australia can describe itself quite honourably. For the population they have, the champions that they produce is off the scale.
It is such an exciting part of the world, isn't it? Especially in time trials. Let's just go when we finished here. But no, I think for me, what has really stood out, I guess this season, but always with Brodie Chapman, is the ability she has to be such a workhorse for her trade team. She has been a super domestique, but she's also then, when it transfers back to being her as an individual, she delivers. And I don't think that's an easy balance, because we know the psychology of being a domestique, working for others. You do completely transfer your mindset and how you perform that role. So to then put full focus back into yourself to delivering on the day, yeah, that takes a lot of skill. And Brodie Chapman brings so much experience to that, and she'll be great out there today.
Yeah, I mean, she's quite remarkable, to be honest, the sort of list of success that she's had, considering the knockbacks that everyone gets here, and just to maintain it. Third in the time trial at the Giro, second in the time trial at the Thüringen Ladies Tour as well. I mean, she's brilliant. So let's see how she goes. Kiesenhofer is on course, the Austrian, to do something great, but she's never afraid to hide her discomfort, let's put it that way. She was absolutely internally screaming there. Niedermeyer is next. And away she goes. I mean, she is, of course, the national champion. And it was Germany that brought tea, apparently, to Rwanda back in the day. I don't know where they got the tea plants from. They probably nicked them from the Brits, who obviously nicked them from the Chinese and then set up their own plantations in India. I know. I mean, China's had the monopoly on tea, and now it's everywhere, but particularly some of the best of it here in Rwanda. Still haven't got a cup of tea. But anyway, Kiesenhofer, we're looking at her right now. Van der Breggen with a 35.44 at the third intermediate and a minute and 53 up. This is rude.
I love your quotes. You know that, Carlton. They're all, I was going to say Twitter bios, X bios now. But in their own right, they stand alone, Carlton. Legendary. 1.5 kilometres remaining for Anna van der Breggen. We're seeing her navigate these cobbles now. Be interesting to look at her position on the bike, which I've talked about so much today. But back with Kiesenhofer here. And as you mentioned before, there are certain riders, actually Anna van der Breggen, very good at it, at just concealing any evidence of pain on their face. But Kiesenhofer is very much heart on sleeve. This is the amount of effort I'm pouring into this. She played down her chances coming into today, saying she didn't have the ideal preparation. But she's another rider that always focuses on a target, evidently, because she won the Olympic Games that way.
Lake Kivu absolutely beautiful. It's almost like an inland sea, this. It's a landlocked nation, of course, Rwanda. But at one side of this great lake, you almost can't see the other side of it. It's absolutely beautiful and well worth a visit. Back to the BK Arena. Labous is about to engage, and we've got the very best now. This is where it starts to get properly serious. Juliette Labous was actually beaten by Cédrine Kerbayol, who we've already seen on course. But Juliette Labous, again, another one of the very, very strong time trialists from a very strong nation when it comes to this discipline, France. And away she goes. Her left eardrum will have a ringing sound in it by the time she leaves the arena here, because that's the side the drummers are upon. Away she goes, and that time tunnel rear disc. See what she can do, shall we? Anna Henderson will be next, then Chloe Dygert, and then, of course, Demi Vollering to draw the start house to a close and give the drummers a break. Meanwhile, everyone's going to be saying, oh, give us a break. Van der Breggen is absolutely in charge. This could well be meddling significance. Let's wait and see. Sigrid is having a look. She's got a big grin, shaking her head.
She's like, that's okay.
Just sheer appreciation. I don't mind being
Breggen.
beaten by Van der Breggen. How lovely is this?
If you're going to be beaten by someone, you would just accept it, wouldn't you? If it was Van der Breggen coming in to take your time and better it. You can see the look on Sigrid Ytterhauset's face there. Yeah, okay. She's the best in the biz. But she's only just come out of that position in this push to the line. She's been so neat all day on every kilometre of this course. She knows how important it's going to be to get absolutely every inch of power and leave it all out on the road. And she's a rider that so well knows how to do that. Look at this, coming into the line here and back down in TT position.
Every single pedal stroke matters. Make the easy bits hard. Don't finish at the line. Think about finishing beyond it, and it's beyond even her expectations. That is a powerhouse performance of exceptional quality and delivery. Wow, we have a heck of a winner here, at least for the time being. Let us wait and see how long this can last, but at the finish line, we're in the 44s, for goodness sake. The trim is 2 minutes and 23 at the finish with a 44.01, and she has broken into the 42s as an average, a 42.5 average pace throughout that punishing course. Underscores Anna van der Breggen's sheer greatness.
Talked about textbook displays of dominance from Anna van der Breggen. Look at the damage she's done there. That was just a joy to watch, and she was so calm, as we've come to expect from this rider, so measured in her effort. Nothing is left to chance. But here's Anna Henderson for Great Britain.
She's off and underway, and Anna Henderson has now got a big task on her hands, possibly career defining. Let's wait and see. She hasn't yet moved on to a podium as far as the worlds are concerned. That will be her big target, to get a medal. Let's hope that that indeed happens to her, because you know what? It's not beyond the realms of possibilities, and this rider on your screen now proves that. If you have belief, it counts for a massive percentage of what you can deliver.
It completely does, and psychology, as we know, is so important, but I think teams are placing so much more importance on understanding the mental approach to coming into these races, and how well you deal with pressure can, of course, massively affect your result on the day. Anna Henderson does deliver when it matters, doesn't she?
Yes.
She has really proven that in her career, albeit she's still such a young rider, achieving such big things in her list of achievements so far in this sport. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what she does today. She's another rider that's had to come back from so many setbacks, from injuries, and she's got full focus on today. So I think it could be an exciting ride. But we're going to say that, aren't we, for the last few riders, because there is some serious competition out on the road at the moment, and indeed with our last couple of riders to go off that start ramp. They are going to challenge the time of Anna van der Breggen. And one of those people is her teammate Dore Vollering from Dutch Cycling this week. And that will be very interesting to see what Vollering can do. And I think we always say it, don't we? Anything can happen, but it can. We don't wish it on a rider, but we can see mistakes, we can see crashes, we can see people push a turn too much. It'll be very interesting to see who really capitalises on everything today. Talking of which, someone that can do that very well, one of our big favourites, Chloe Dygert.
Chloe Dygert getting ready. Bronze last year, of course. She'd like, by sheer alchemy and force of will, to turn that to gold today. Let us wait and see. She's got Demi Vollering, of course, still to come off the ramp, who was the best placed and indeed in this last year, and will be wearing number 1. Here we go. So, Great Britain versus the United States versus Netherlands, France, Germany, Austria, Switzerland. Well, it has a European whiff to that list of favourites. However, we are racing in Africa, and we thank the people of Rwanda and Kigali. We thank the UCI as well for this amazing event, and it's just so beautifully delivered. And right now, it's a question of just digging in for a little bit of glory. And in fact, why not have a lot of glory? Yes, we're getting ourselves greedy now because the performances are spectacular. That corner looked a bit out of shape here for Kaisenhofer. The dead turn is a difficult thing to master. You've got to get that absolutely bang on, haven't you? Lose a couple of seconds there.
Yeah, and that's what it all comes down to, time and time again, is balancing it. We've talked about that, haven't we, with the time trial position. There's no point in being in the most aero extreme position if you can't hold it, if you're constantly shifting around. And here we have eyes now on Kasia Niewiadoma of Poland, and it looks like she's suffered out there today.
Certainly has, and we've seen a few grimaces. This is not a grin, this is absolute end of resources, and I'm afraid by the time she crosses the line it's going to be possibly nearer to the 3-minute mark than it is the 2-minute mark here, but no shame in this. Some of the conditions will be better to the liking of some riders than others, but bang in the middle of my prediction there, it is 2.5 minutes, I'm afraid, giving away, 2:31 to be precise. But, as you've just heard, good enough for 3rd place, which explains some of the big margins that we have had. So yeah, slotting into 3rd place behind Sigrid Ugeset and indeed Zhao Zhang, who's at 3 minutes and 22. It's a big gap still. Later on, I think every second may well start to count. You can only guess, but what we are seeing is that Van der Breggen's time, we assumed the times would be between 45 minutes and 50. I think we did all right with our assumptions, to be honest. A 44.01.
You did all the maths. I'll give you that credit.
Well,
that's the truth.
So I'll tell you, maths is not my strong point. But anyway, it was, you know, even a stop clock is right twice a day, don't forget. Anyway, Vollering is about to get off and underway. This is going to close out. The drummers can have a bit of a break. Looks like some of the skins here might actually go pop at any moment now, but they've maintained their smile throughout. And I'm not surprised, because this has been grin-makingly brilliant, this event.
Everything about today has been joyful, hasn't it?
Yep.
We've got a spectacular field out on the road. We've had riders who probably never dreamt that they would be fielding a World Championships, who've taken to that start ramp early today. It's been purely joyful. Here is Chloe Dygert. She is a massive favourite today, of course, for the USA. And I feel like in recent years, everybody focuses on and talks about how horrendously she crashed at the Worlds in 2020. And many people will remember that because it was just such a devastating crash and subsequent injury. But the way she's come back from that and just fought to get back to this level and done, again, so many all-round successful rides in the last few years, I'm excited for Dygert today. Here is Cedrine Cabral coming in on her ride.
Yes, same initials as me, CK, but not Colin Kirby, it's Cedrine Cabral. It sounds like Kirby, actually, but no, it does not sound like a good number, I'm afraid. However you look at it, still going to be good enough to nudge that podium, and there it is. But it shows you really the dominance of Anna van der Breggen when you start to indeed extrapolate those who've gone well here. Who's going to go better than Anna van der Breggen? I don't know how long that time's going to last, but I think she's going to get herself a little bit comfy in that hot seat. Cédrine Kerbayal will take some time to recover. It'd be nice to hear, actually, from some of those who completed the task today. But we want to give, to keep it live for those who are out on course, Demi Vollering will close us out today. Time for the drummers to have a break. They'll be back on duty, of course, for the men's event. That will indeed get itself off and underway in, what, about an hour and an hour and 20 minutes. The men will begin.
When you've had your cup of tea.
Oh, it's desperate, quite frankly. And yes, we will, of course, draw this to a magnificent conclusion. The very best of today is still to come. Here it is. I cannot wait to see which one of the women is going to be world champion, because there are so many deserved cases, and each one with a different story to tell as well. It's magnificent.
Yeah, there's so many different stories within this peloton today, isn't there? And indeed, people focusing in on the road race in a week's time as well, as Monica Trincocolin for Italy comes in here. And we did expect these big time differences on a course like today.
Yep, we did. It's starting to seep in here. She was she gave away 1:53 at the third checkpoint to Anna van der Breggen, and she's not that far off that margin right now, which means that she's held it very well in the most difficult part of the course. So there it is. That's the margin now. So every second after this counts as what she's lost in the latter part of the course. But it's not much. This is a very, very strong performance by the young Italian.
It is, and it's really good to qualify that, isn't it? As I mentioned, the nature of this course means we did expect it big time gaps, and that's enough to ride her into second currently. But it is interesting when you're talking about how when we get to these medal positions, every second is going to count, every split second counts against the clock. It always does. And if you look at where Anna van der Breggen came in, as we just see what our current standings look like, Trincocolin now indeed going into second there, as it currently stands out on the course. But Anna van der Breggen came across that line so smoothly. She did not waste any effort coming across the cobbles, transitioning back down into the skis, back on the TT bars, and she has drilled that to perfection, and that's what time will tell. Very shortly, we'll see if that's made enough of a difference to keep her in that hot seat. You can just see the effort that this has taken out on the course today.
You should arrive empty.
Yeah.
That is the idea, to use every single fibre of your being to deliver. Your finish line isn't the finish line itself. If you're amongst the very best, you have to think beyond the finish line. You have to go through the finish line, not to finish there, but to power through it. Attack the finish line. Make the easy bits hard. When everyone else is starting to think about easing up, taking a break, you need to stay focused and on it. And that's the way that you can achieve greatness. And Anna van der Breggen has done it on so many occasions. I think almost having that physiological and psychological will and memory of having been there to visit those dark places makes it an easier task.
It certainly does, and yeah, it's all about knowing what to expect, and if you've been in that place and you know how to handle it well, it's going to serve a purpose on the day. And I was talking a moment ago, before we saw Vollering start, about how you can have the most aggressive aero position, but if it doesn't suit you, it's not going to be a position you can hold. But it's the same with someone like Chloe Dygert, can put so much pressure into a turn and know her limit, know where she can hold it, and sometimes exceed it. We have seen that, of course. We've seen all these riders at some point in their career push the limit of a time trial and potentially come off on a turn, especially if we're not knowing what to expect with weather conditions, if it's been partially wet on the day. You know, we've seen riders push past that limit, but these riders that we're seeing out on the course now know better than anybody today where that limit is, how you balance that fine line, whether it's an aggressive position, whether it's powering down a descent, whether it's taking a technical turn at absolute pace. They know what they have in the tank. They've recce'd it, they've practiced it. They know exactly what to do on every inch of this course, and that's what you need to be a TT specialist at the end of the day.
Oh, Chloe Daiger, after that horrific crash, we only dwell on it because of the effectiveness with which she's put that behind her. She
Completely.
could well be our champion by the end of today. We just don't know. She's that. You talk about mentality there, Rebecca, and she's got absolutely everything dialed in. A proper predator, as lovely as you can be off the bike, and just the most dialed in, focused, predatory individual, which is what you have to be when you are in the office, which is on the bike.
And I've spoken to so many riders about that because, you know, being in our position, we have these lovely chats with riders when they are personable and off the bike, and we're very relaxed in terms of the circumstance we're chatting to them. And then the focus that descends on them in a bunch sprint, in a time trial, on race day, they have to have that. They have to be able to switch that on and off. And again, the best riders in the world can evidently do that to perfection, because that's what it takes to be this good on the bike, is to not let any outside noise in. And every rider has a different psychological approach, a different way of looking at the sport, but they all have this laser focus. And yeah, you ultimately need that switch, I think, to put it on and off. But here is Marlen Reusser. We haven't had too much sight of her so far, have we, out on the course? But we were talking before, when she was on that start ramp earlier, about how much illness she's had to contend with this season. And for me, it's another sign, I think, in a way, of how we've seen the women's peloton and racing schedule evolve, in that once upon a time, female riders would have to field absolutely everything. Now we're seeing riders target different Grand Tours throughout the season, not perhaps target everything. And that becomes important when riders have back-to-back-to-back targets, and then illness hits them and you can't recover properly. And we had such high hopes for Reusser coming into the Tour de France after everything she did early season. The battle with Demi Vollering that was just set up to perfection. It was what we all wanted. But she had such bad luck with illness, couldn't ultimately field the Tour, but she's gone away. She's been quite quiet as to how her preparations have gone, but we presume they've gone very well.
Well, she's suddenly gone loud after going quiet, because at the first timing point, she is 15 seconds to the good of Anna van der Breggen. Van der Breggen was not the fastest at that point. In fact, there's now 3 riders quicker than her at the first intermediate. But Van der Breggen ran what we often refer to, for those that don't know, as a negative split. So she kept something back. Some reserves, which she knew she would be spending later on. And that's wisdom, and that comes with experience, of which Anna van der Breggen has plenty. Reusser, though, has gone all in early. Now, if she can hold it, and that is a big if, then the Swiss could actually produce something magnificent. She is 9 seconds to the good of Katrine Allerud, 13 seconds better than Niedermeyer. And she is 15 seconds faster at the first split than Anna van der Breggen. So there's a lot to be done here. Juliette Labousse was 5th quickest, with Brodie Chapman has actually just gone through 5th quickest, but she's giving away 15 seconds to van der Breggen. So there's a lot at stake, and it's the latter part of this course where you are going to find or lose those seconds, because that's where the most difficult tasks lie, not least the cobbles that we have to deal with. That cobbled climb at the end is going to be a championship definer, I think.
And these riders will have considered exactly where they can afford to be in terms of going into that red or not in those earlier parts of today's course, because, as you say, there's so many challenges in the latter part of that. But as with Demi Vollering, Marlen Reusser knows exactly how to pace for herself as an individual, and I think that's something that becomes quite difficult as a rider as well throughout their career, is not looking around at what everybody else is doing. We know that you can look around and say, well, what gearing is that rider running? Have they gone for the same pacing strategy? But ultimately, when you are able to win time trials at the level that someone like Ry'Isi is, you ride your own pace, you do your own plan, and you don't let anybody knock your confidence with that. You come in with utter belief, and I think that's what's been fascinating about the demeanour of Ry'Isi, is she knows exactly what she's capable of doing today, but somebody else that's had a very good run into this with good preparations is Demi Vollering.
I cannot wait for this second intermediate split. We've got head-to-head rolling here between Vollering and Dore, which is absolutely fascinating. As you can see, the 16-second gap on their current part of the course, which is one measured against the other. So we've got proper battles going on here. We talked about some of the areas within the circuit as well. We're hardly going round and round. We're going around the houses, you might say, and uphill and down dale as well. This is a proper mixed course. And as a result, because it's not an absolutely pure time trialling course, it offers us up some speculation as to who might thrive today. Marleen Ry'Isi started off as my favourite today, but even though she has an advantage at the first checkpoint, it's the survivability of the latter part of the course that is going to find our winner. Here she is, and the target time for her is a 28:35. She's very close to the next checkpoint. It's up ahead of her, and I think she might still be in the lead. Now, if she is, this is going to be a question of trying to carry this to the latter part of the course, and that's the big task. She's already taken a big bite out of, well, just about everybody. Let's see what time that this clock stops. It's our intermediate, the second one. This is a big check for her and a big wake-up call for everybody else as to what's required to go forward. Wow, 28 seconds up. She is in phenomenal pace, and look at how smooth she looks as well, unencumbered by diversions. She has one focus, and that is a gold medal and a rainbow jersey, and she might well already be halfway to pulling it on. And
nobody will know better what challenges lay ahead in the latter parts of this course. Ry'Isi is a joy to watch in the time trial because of that level of understanding, of experience, of riding her own race. But as much as she wants rainbow bands on her shoulders at the end of today, so does Chloe Dygert for the USA. And back to your point, that a lot of people talk about how serious her crash was in 2020 at the Worlds. And I think it's something that, as a rider, she's such a positive force, isn't she, that she's like, right, let's not dwell on that. Let's talk about where I am now. But you can see when you're behind the scenes at races, sometimes she needs help because of the long-lasting effects of how serious that injury on her leg was. And she doesn't dwell on it. She goes back out there fighting at the absolute top of her class every single time. And she is another rider that has not only gone for individual results, but has been working tirelessly all season for her trade team. And that's why I think today could be very special for Dygert, because today is ultimate focus on her target, on her goal of getting those rainbow bands.
And here she is. It's the ultimate, isn't it? Ry'Isi, we talk about 2 silvers and a bronze in the discipline, but needs to take that step forward. Dygert could well be, Chloe could be one of those to stop her. Let's have a look at the splits, shall we, as they reveal themselves to us. Dygert was only 6th quickest at the first timing point. She is coming up to stop the clock shortly, but here is Benito Pellissier at the line for Spain. This is a good time, however, our expectations have now been altered going forward, I'm afraid, and so it's a cruel game this we play. You can finish second, but it's margins as well which count for an awful lot. She's going to be solidly into second place by the looks of things, and she is. That's a silver medal, but a minute and 40 is an enormous gap, and I feel like we're going to get closer, I'm afraid, to Anna van der Breggen's target than has just been seen.
Yeah, of course, we've got to mark how brilliant these times that are being set now are, but back in the thick of the action, these time gaps are going to be a a lot smaller, let's say, as we've got our real podium contenders coming in to these points in the course. We've got eyes now on Demi Vollering, of course, the Dutch teammate of Anna van der Breggen, who we've seen put in a brilliant time to put her into that hot seat earlier. But I think that's something that's always been a talking point when we come to the World Road Race, is just how much Dutch talent there actually is within one team.
Look at this. How close is this? What a battle. We said every second counts. How about less than a second? 0.68 at that split. What a head-to-head we've got going on at the moment. And there'll be others that come and join the fun. This is amazing. Ry'Isi at the first intermediate, just about 3/4 of a second only separating Marleen Ry'Isi and indeed Demi Vollering. And right now, this is going to go absolutely right down to the wire. Essentially, they're on the same time. What a battle.
This is incredible. It's what we wanted. Yeah. It's what we hoped for, and it is delivering. And now it will be a case of us watching exactly how much these riders can get out of these sections of the course.
Just look at this. At this point, Van der Breggen was pedalling, but it's a focused turn down here. How much energy do you want to put into that? And then the escape. And do you remember how urgently Anna van der Breggen got on the pedals as well and looked smoother, I've got to say. But Marleen Ry'Isi, maybe she carried in exactly the right pace to actually deal with that technical section. Looked slightly more ragged as she got the power down, but that is... Don't read too much into my reading of that. She now is smooth as absolute silk, and her deportment on the bike is absolutely wonderful to watch. She almost looks like a cartoon rendition of perfection on the bike.
Yeah, completely. And that's what we're talking about now, isn't it, with these last few riders out on the course, is utter perfection with such small margins between them. And it is, as you say, it is hard to tell, because somebody might be able to capitalise on one part of the course more than another rider, and then of course we know other people can pull that back in different parts of it. Maybe someone doesn't keep the pressure on a turn, but maybe they then are suited better to an incline or a descent. Here's Anna Henderson. We just see Chloe Dygert up there. These times are going to be so close between these riders because they all want it. Not only are we talking about them being well drilled, well prepared, having been at altitude, having the best kit and equipment in this field, but they want it. They're so hungry for the World Championship bands, and it's so significant. Of course it is, to wear that for the rest of, well, for the next season, for the year.
She's about 5 minutes away from her second intermediate, but I can tell you Anna Henderson only gave away 12 seconds to Marleen Ry'Isi at the first split. Now, the first split, after 16 minutes and 34 of racing, the clock stopped for Ry'Isi at checkpoint 1. Vollering only 0.68 of a second down upon her. Katrien Ellerud at 9 seconds adrift at that point. Anna Henderson, 12 seconds. Anna van der Breggen, 15 seconds off that mark. Niedermeyer was 13 seconds, by the way, in 5th place. Van der Breggen, 6th quickest at that first timing point. And the head-to-head here is absolutely laser locked on. You'd better be good at every single moment.
Well, I'm sure everybody has followed this season as closely as we have, but coming in this year and seeing Marleen Ry'Isi switch teams to Movistar, of course, former teammate of Demi Vollering at SD Worx Pro Time, when we saw her switch teams, her demeanour changed. She became a GC contender, not only that, a GC leader. We were treated to the head-to-head battle between Ry'Isi and Vollering, and we hoped for that today. We knew that they both had it in them to have the tightest possible battle, and that's what's playing out now. And we were expecting to see that at the Tour.
Whoa!
We didn't get that.
Enormous.
But look at this.
23 seconds. She's getting quicker. Oh, my goodness.
And this is what I was talking about. Marleen Ry'Isi knows what lies ahead, and she is a pacing expert. Her ability as a tactician in time trials is why she's won so many times, and she will not have underestimated this course. She won't have been doing inaccurate reading on what she needs to do with her pacing. She just knows how to get it right, and yeah, that's what we're seeing at play now.
This is absolutely remarkable. She was 15 seconds up on Van der Breggen at the first checkpoint, and we said, is this survivable? If you can carry it, we talked earlier on about being able to get up to pace and then glide with it. And some others are more peaky. They will, like an old ice hockey stick, they can go smooth and then deliver something at the end. Others kind of peak and then go into a trough. But Marlene Ry'Isi is doing an amazing job. She, following split is going to be fascinating in a few moments' time. Ry'Isi had an advantage over Van der Breggen of 15 seconds at the first split. Van der Breggen, who still sits in the hot seat, 28 seconds was her gain over the second checkpoint. And so how can she possibly carry it? Ry'Isi has an advantage of 23 seconds at the third. Can she hold? It's a tough finish, as you are seeing here from Kaisenhofer. 7th place and nearly 3 minutes down. It shows you just what the gulf in, indeed, results are at the line. At the moment, it's Anna van der Breggen, who will have seen, all right, maybe a slightly diminished, 5 seconds between checkpoint 2 and 3. Can Ry'Isi hold on? I think if Ry'Isi copes with the final climb, she should have this. But it's actually, now I'm thinking about it, it's going to be less of a gap than perhaps we were expecting.
Indeed. I mean, you've asked the question there on Marlene Ry'Isi, and I would say absolutely she can deliver. What she's done this season, what we know she's done in previous seasons in time trials as well, she is so capable at understanding and navigating the challenges up ahead in the latter part of this course. I think she's going to put in an incredibly special ride today. That said, we are seeing very, very small competitive time gaps here. It is absolutely thrilling, but we have missed out during parts of the summer because of Royce's illness to that battle between Vollering and Ry'Isi, and here it is now playing out in front of our eyes.
Got about 5 minutes left for Vollering to get to the second intermediate. A reminder that the gap was virtually the same, but 0.7 of a second separating. Here's Henderson. Now, she was 4th at the first time split, don't forget. Gave away 12 seconds to Ry'Isi. Let's see. It's an expanded gap, I'm afraid, for Anna Henderson, but this is still a very strong performance. Let's see, it's 33 seconds giveaway now. So essentially that gap has extended by around about 20 seconds between the two checkpoints, which kind of underscores what Ry'Isi is achieving out there. And her job has still not been completed. We're bringing them in. This is Alerud. And the clock's only just gone red against her, so she's close at hand. She's got to go into this little dip. She's not going to beat Anna van der Breggen. She may move into a medaling place here. Let's wait and see at the final. In fact, she should be good enough for silver for now. Coming through the heat haze, it's getting warmer out there. Temperatures hovering around about 27 Celsius, but nudging up, I think, in the sunshine here to over 30. So possibly discomfort for some, but this is a great shot by Alerud. Silver medal for now.
Brilliant ride from Alerud. And we've talked so much about pacing, and you do not want to get that wrong either way, but you don't want to leave anything out on the road. And evidently, you know, you can just see the level of suffering coming in. Here we are back with Ry'Isi, and we expected a special ride. We expected big things from her, and my goodness, she is certainly giving us what we wanted.
Check it out. She has, indeed, the steepest part, the most uncomfortable part, I think, has just been dispatched. So she has the remainder to deal with, and you can see the shockwaves just going through her shoulders here. There is another steep test just up ahead, but she's doing a fabulous job. Her target time, by the way, at the finish is a 44.01, so she's still 4 minutes away. And you're thinking, well, she's only 1,400 metres, so she should easily do it. No, it's going to be close because the time starts to get stripped out here. Let's see.
It certainly does, and that is the part of the course, I think, that we found it quite hard to predict early on, and we've just seen how much the riders have had to navigate, to suffer. We think they're almost there. It's a long, long stretch to that line, and I'm saying that's that here, so I can only imagine how tough that pull is to the line. But just look at what Ry'Isi is doing here, and I think psychologically, after the disappointment she had at not being able to field the Tour in the way that she'd planned to do, that would have fired her up even more mentally to plan ahead to come in at her absolute peak today.
Check this out. She has dispatched the cobbles. She's on to the asphalt. There's the Flamme Rouge. She's going to roll everybody, Ry'Isi. It's a Rolls-Royce performance. This could be spectacular. She's smoothed out the bumps. She's powering home. Gives herself just a moment here to double check into the corner. I think she knows that maybe she's got this in the bag, and it might be by a handsome margin as well. My goodness, we'll be back to her as she finishes, but Chloe Daggett is just coming, and this at the intermediate is a shock.
It is. This is a really big shock for Chloe Daggett. I mean, I've said time and time again today that we had so much unpredictability that this course was going to offer today. And this has been a tough day for Daggett.
Certainly has. She was giving away 28 seconds at the first intermediate. Meanwhile, let's get back to this, shall we? Oh, this is wonderful. This is a limousine performance by this athlete. Absolutely perfect. She has smoothed out the course and actually delivered something incredibly special here. In fact, she's saved the power until last. She comes up over the rise here, but her rise has been inexorable, I think you might say. This is potentially going to be our winning time. She started off as favourite in my eyes, and she has lived up to the billing. She's opened the door, closed it behind her, and said, this is my party. And you know what? Nobody else is invited. Let's see if we get some gate crashes late on, but I believe that this is going to be a championship winning performance. Ry'Isi hits the line brilliantly. Whoa, 43.09 is exponentially brilliant.
What a ride from Marlon Ry'Isi. What perfection and delivery. And do you know what? When she came into the section we knew was going to be brutal, and under that Flamme Rouge, she made it look almost effortless. That is how much she danced through those closing meters to deliver such a staggering time. We knew she'd had setbacks this season. She targeted this. She had such, I was going to say a quiet confidence about her. No, she had an outright confidence coming into today. The way she spoke in pre-race interviews, she knew she had something very special in the bag, and you can just see she has delivered out there to perfection today.
That is amazing. 43.3 kilometres per hour average. A full, almost, kilometre an hour faster than everyone else who's finished so far. She had lost just 5 seconds between the checkpoint 2 and 3, and then decided to go to the top table and eat the cake. She has come home brilliantly with an advantage, get this, over Anna van der Breggen of 51.89 seconds, nearly 52 seconds clear of the mighty Anna van der Breggen. Let us see if anyone can get close. It's a big, big ask. We still have riders out there who may deny her, but for right now, Marlon Ry'Isi looks amazing.
Absolutely incredible. Here we are with Anna Henderson, 5.4 kilometres remaining for the rider from Great Britain. And, oh gosh, we just can't shout enough about Marlon Ry'Isi this season. For me, it's just been a fairy tale season for her, and we've had so many ups and downs that we've lived through with her. She came in and showed us what she could do as a GC leader. As I say, not just coming in as, right, I might be a big contender now, but dominating, winning in ways we didn't see from her in previous seasons because she wasn't given the freedom. She perhaps wasn't in the same headspace that she's been in this year. She's had that utter confidence, the confidence of Team Movistar, doing everything to support around her. She didn't have an ideal end to the summer. She went away and she prepared at altitude and she targeted the Worlds today. And oh my goodness, we've just seen that play out to utter perfection. She couldn't have hoped for that to go any better, of course. We're just seeing the damage it's done as we've got our last riders out on the course now.
Henderson comes through, fourth quickest at the third intermediate, giving away 38 seconds to Ry'Isi. Chances of finding that later on are possibly slim, but we're starting to see some times that would have had the beating of Anna van der Breggen potentially. This is one of them. Brodie Chapman, I still think she is going to be in a bronze medal position by the time she hits the line here. But nonetheless, we're seeing some terrific performances. And it may well be we have modest margins between the medals, but possibly not between gold and silver. Let us wait and see who can get close to Marleen Ry'Isi. But right now is Chapman coming in for what potentially could be a bronze medal position. I believe it's going to be tight because Allerud sits on a 124 and she knows she's racing for that right now. Chapman comes to the line. Is she going to get there? She knows she's got to sprint for it and does so brilliantly. And indeed, bronze medal position so far, pushing Katrien Allerud just out of the medals right now. Ry'Isi, provisional gold ahead of van der Breggen. And now, indeed, we're starting to see some great performances. Brodie Chapman has just produced one herself.
Brodie Chapman, class as always, and we do have to keep qualifying those times, don't we? Because we've seen some brilliant rides today that on any other day would have put them right up there at the top of those standings. But Ry'Isi has just blown everybody out of the water today. Here we are back with Anna Henderson of Great Britain, 3.1 kilometres remaining for her. And you can just see her experience, though, coming through here because she has stayed and remained calm throughout this course.
Great run, I've got to say. And, you know, there is, when you're seeing performances like Marleen Ry'Isi has produced, there is no shame in finishing in the top 10 behind such performances. It's where you're going to be. Vollering double checks into the corner, almost got the line here, just slightly out of kilter, but immediately on the power with 7.3 kilometres to go. Now then, Vollering, let's give you an update of where she has been sitting. Second intermediate was 28 seconds down on Marleen Ry'Isi, almost exactly the same time, incidentally, as Anna van der Breggen. So, in terms of needle on the bragging rights, she wants to go extremely strongly. Let us see what she nails when we get to the third timing point, our third checkpoint here. Her target is a 35.21. Van der Breggen was 23 seconds down on that margin, so we're about a minute and a half away from where she wants to be. We'll be back with her in a few moments' time. We've got a lovely tracing shot here. Gosh, it looks warm, doesn't it?
It certainly does. It certainly does, and it's definitely hotting up here as we're just
a bit more breeze
eagerly
as well,
anticipating this. It's been just everything that we hoped for today. Antonia Niedermaier for Germany here, and we've said this, haven't we? But these rides that we're seeing come in now are brilliant, brilliant rides. But it's just showing of what Ry'Isi has put in today.
It's going to be I think she'll be just outside the medals by the time this clock stops, I'm afraid. But it'll be a top 5 for Niedermaier. And that is a creditable performance by the young German. Here we are, a minute and 29, in fact. So good enough, I think, for 5th place as it stands at the moment. Well, you always look back at your performances, and you may well not look at the margins, but a top 10 in the World Championships is always going to be something. Oh, this is a big tie-up on this punishing climb here. And this is where the hurt really starts to kick in. 1,300 metres, as you can see, with an average of 6.3%. She looks to me to be on an even steeper approach just to this 11%. Finally gets a bit of traction and pushing on. I think she's possibly a little bit closer than the 1.9 is indicated here because it's 1,300 metres. And clearly this is a very steep section.
Exactly that, because we look a lot at the percentage and what it averages out at, but not always what it peaks at. And you can see there that she was approaching that 11% section. And I think when we started to see that earlier on today, we realised the pressure that is keeping on the riders right until that finish line, which is why you can never say it's over. Vollering, heart on sleeve, always fights for the victory with everything she can dedicate and throw at a ride.
Third quickest in that checkpoint, and at 36-second margin, so she sits behind Anna van der Breggen. That will, I am sure, be one of her primary targets, essentially. She wants to get in the medals, but that's a big retrieval to try and find what Ry'Isi did. Every single time we came, Ry'Isi, I beg your pardon, every time we came to the splits, I was thinking, surely this must have faded. And when I saw Royce's time between checkpoint 2 and checkpoint 3 had indeed moderated, she dropped 5 seconds to Van der Breggen. But to then turn that round, turn around a 23-second advantage and actually make it a 51-second advantage at the end, that showed you just how much she was able to pour onto the latter part of the course. And you can see from what's on your screen at the moment how difficult that is. Labous comes to the line shortly. She's still got that sort of hellish finale to deal with, and it's almost Heartbreak Hotel here, because every time you think, oh, the finish line is just ahead of us, no, there's still this pesky dish to deal with. Best served cold for some. And there we are, 6th quickest out of the top 5, and just a handful of seconds, just a couple of seconds off that top 5 coveted position. It's a cruel game, this.
It's really cool, and still, again, a really solid ride there. And I think today I've talked about that unpredictability, because you can compare with previous World Championships, can't you, in terms of what is the elevation gain, but where that sits, where that comes, what the road surface is, what the altitude is, the air condition, it all plays a part on the day, and these riders are human, and we're seeing that now with Dygert.
Seeing the tops of the trees just nod a little bit, some like the riders, I guess you might say, as they try and take on this peak. But well protected is the course. In fact, it's been almost equal conditions for everybody, possibly a couple of degrees change in temperature. Anna Henderson on this power section of the course at the moment, but throwing in the climbs has, I don't think it's diminished this time trial at all. I think it's enhanced it. It's made it absolutely fascinating how they've coped.
Yeah, the climbs have been really prominent, and it's easy to write off an elevation saying, you know, these riders will make light work of it, but we've evidently seen that's not been the case today. It's been absolutely brutal, and Ry'Isi just perfected it better than anybody else by far.
Henderson is coming to the finish here, and not going to beat Ry'Isi because the clock has already turned red, but I think she's going to be thinking about a bronze medal position potentially. Let us see. Can't quite see on the course. This is a tight shot as to where she is. Here we are. Rainbow barriers right now, but she's still got to go into the pesky saucer. Over the top.
It's so well described as a saucer, but it's really tough, and just when we, never mind the rider, just when we think they're coming into sight of that finish line, there's still a really big push, and when every second and split second counts, that's what it takes to keep pushing to the line, and this has been a really tough effort today.
Out of the saddle, back into it, out of the saddle again, into the dip, over the crest. Final couple of curves. There is that really gnarly, nasty, almost punishing, cruel, let's say, finale to this course. I mean, it's fabulous entertainment for us, but this is about top 10 positions for Anna Henderson at the moment. Let's see where she sits. 7th place for now, minute and 37 down, but what a ride that was.
Yeah, she'll be disappointed. She threw everything into getting a top 3 today, but ultimately on reflection, I think she'll see what a strong ride that was.
Well, that spittle-laced chin tells you everything you need to know about what's required today. That was brilliant by Anna Henderson, finishing in 7th place, but Ry'Isi is our leader. And look at the margin, 51.89. And then look how many are encamped within a 10-second boundary of that bronze medal. It is really tough. It was designed to be so. and the Nyungwe National Park here with its absolutely beautiful mists, gorillas in the mists, you might say. Well, we've got cycling beasts here as well that are doing a phenomenal job, and let us enjoy it, shall we? Because this is for our entertainment, and for some it's for their sufferance, I'm afraid. 1,200 metres for Chloe Duggett to get home. At the third split, she'd already given away 1 minute and 12, and this looks like a task too far.
Chloe Duggett came in with a lot of pressure on her today for the USA. Such a big favourite and such a dedicated rider that absolutely leaves everything out there. And again, you know, we've seen brilliant rides, but Ry'Isi has set such a huge benchmark, and it's been so tough out there with all the different conditions, the elements. It's been a really hard day in the saddle, but yeah, Duggett brings class to this peloton, and she's still done that today.
She certainly has. Vollering will close out this amazing women's time trial here at the Road World Championships. We are in Kigali, Rwanda, and we know, I think now, that our champion is going to be Marlen Ry'Isi. What a performance. They've pushed hard. Van der Breggen, second at that third timing point. Vollering was a further 13 seconds down on her compatriot, and I don't think that's turnaroundable, if indeed that is even a word. And how do you describe, how do you find the words to describe what the athletes have provided for us today? It's been magnificent.
It is really tough to find the right words, isn't it? As Demi Vollering just exits that cobbled section onto the smooth tarmac. We thought maybe when riders reached that smooth tarmac, it would be not a respite, because it never is in a T2, but it might ease up a bit. But as you can see, as Chloe Duggett comes in for the USA here, just how brutal it is, how much the riders are having to push to that line. They always do push everything to the line, but this is not an easy run-in, and it's been brutal today.
And this is where the cruelty starts, as we say. This is not the finish line. There's still a corner to be taken, another rise, and then of course the guillotine does fall when the clock stops. She is looking for a top 10. I think she is potentially going to get it, but let's have a look. Chloe Duggett stops the clock here, 8th place for now with a 2:25, which means she does get a top 10. I think she'll finish 9th for this discipline. She'll be disappointed with that. And indeed, drawing proceedings to a close will be a very brave Demi Vollering as well. Chloe Duggett has already, bronze it was last year, but she's already closed her account for today at least. What can Vollering achieve? Let us wait and see. She is gunning for a medal at the moment. Marlen Ry'Isi is indeed in the champion spot. She is our champion already, because the clock is red here against Vollering. But can she possibly finish? Her target for silver is 51.89. I don't think she's going to get there. It's going to be a bronze medal, I believe, for Demi Vollering here. 2 medals, of course, for the Netherlands. That will mean, and is it going to be even crueler than that? Let's wait and see. This is the closeout of proceedings here at the Worlds. She knows what's required. She's out of the saddle, driving for the line, and she'll stop it for a bronze medal behind Anna van der Breggen, who takes silver, and the Swiss world champion is Marlen Ry'Isi, after one of the most incredible rides we have seen on a time trial machine. What a day of racing we have had.
And the gold medal goes to Switzerland.
A lot of riders came in today saying, I'm not quite sure what I can expect from myself on this course, on the day. But there's one rider that came in and said, yep, my preparations have gone well, and that was Marlen Ry'Isi, and she delivered.
Marlen Ry'Isi is a world champion. I can't tell you how much pleasure that gives me just to say it. And look at the margin over the great Anna van der Breggen, who herself doing an amazing thing, coming out of retirement to get a silver medal here at the Worlds. A 51.89 was the margin. That shows you the Swiss dominance here. 2 from the Netherlands on the podium, with Demi Vollering closing us out here a deficit of 1:04. No shame in that when you realise what Marlen Ry'Isi has achieved here. Brodie Chapman in 4th place, just out of the medals by a margin of 16 seconds. Katrin Allerud bags a top 5 spot, finishing 4 seconds behind Brodie Chapman. Another 5-second margin to Antonia Niedermeyer. Then Juliette Labousse, brave it was for 7th place. Fabulous performance by Anna Henderson to finish 8th, ahead of Chloe Dygert. And Mirella Benito it is from Spain that rounds out the top 10 on this, the first ever World Championship elite time trial in Africa. Thank you, Kigali. Thank you, Rwanda. Thank you, the UCI, for an amazing race. What a wonderful day, and what a way to open these World Championships on the elite roster. Nothing better, and no one better than Marlen Ry'Isi and her performance today. That was a privilege to have watched.
It was a privilege. It was utterly remarkable, and we did expect big things, didn't we? And she didn't disappoint. Somebody else that didn't disappoint was Anna van der Breggen. I think that's a really big talking point, actually, from today, because I think she will be mightily delighted with how that went.
Is our winner.
Marlen Ry'Isi, 3 times on the podium of the World Championships. You have it. You have your title. It makes this victory maybe even more sweet for you.
Even more? No, I have the feeling I was like 10 times on the podium. Yeah, I can almost not believe it. I know it's real and it happened, but I tried so many times and it didn't work out, and now I think I made it, and it's really special. But it was such an effort. I'm still like, it's more than 15 minutes ago, but I'm still think I need to let it settle.
Talk to us about this, the effort, because the course was really brutal.
Yeah, maybe you see I'm still breathing, and I'm actually not that type of lactic acid, high lactic acid rider, but this course you could really pace it polarized. So I came to the finish line with quite some, I really went really hard on the climbs, and on the final climb, maybe even I went too hard in the beginning. So I was full of lactic acid, but I think it was the right way to pace it. And I think also I have an advantage as I'm quite a heavy rider. So without a lot of effort, I still go down pretty fast, and then I can put all my effort in the climb. So I did this, and it was super hard. It was so hard. But yeah, I made it. I'm so glad. I'm so happy. And especially also, I know everybody says this, but I mean it from deep down my heart. Like, so many people work with me so much to do this. Since so many years, with such a lot of passion and love. We do it together, and that finally I can kind of reward it. I don't know if this is really something you should say, but it feels a little bit like this. So it's really the goal we worked for, and that I can achieve it now makes me happy for myself, but even more for the whole group that is around me, and that I really, even off the sport, not only in the sport, but even if the sport would not be here, I'm really full of love for these people, and it's so nice that we can do this together.
And you do it in Africa. First time the World Championships are in Africa. What was the atmosphere like?
Yeah, it's really special for me. I was never in Africa or Rwanda before, but to be honest, during an ITT, also in the preparation, and now it's really closed here, so I don't really realize a lot because I'm so much in the tunnel. There could be black walls, pink walls, stars, sun, whatever. I don't really realize. I'm just focused on my effort. So it's maybe ask me again in 1 week or more in the road race where you have more of the atmosphere really coming to you. So far, it was just a question of how are the climatic conditions, how is the parkour, how is the roads. So these were more the questions we had in mind.
You have a good taste on the podium. Enjoy the podium. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
How lovely. Marlon Ry'Isi, spreading the love to all of those who've helped her achieve what she has delivered, finally. And I've got to say, we send the love straight back to her as well. What a wonderful acceptance speech that was.
It was. You could tell that she was just following her heart there with that post-race chat, couldn't you? And she was considering what she wanted to so honestly and openly pour out about all the people that have supported her. She was saying what an effort it was, but she did look remarkably fresh, which I think only Marlon Ry'Isi could do.
Interesting that she said she took a polarizing view of it, and by that what she meant, polar is to actually go to every single point, to raise your game at every single margin. She dominated throughout the entire run. There was no point within her effort today where she was in second place. No point at all. She absolutely nailed every single one. First time check, she had an advantage over Dore by 0.68 of a second when you add up all of the checks. At the second checkpoint, her margin of advantage was at 28. She said she was starting to suffer out there. Of course she was, and she raised her game again, still, but by a diminished margin. 23 seconds she led at the third checkpoint. And then she knew that she just had to go all in if she was going to finally be declared world champion after visiting what she described as 10 times or something, the podium. Then she found it. She dug deeper than anybody, and she won by an enormous margin. This is the World Championships with some very, very accomplished riders around her, and she won by 51.89 seconds. That is a huge underscoring of an achievement that we thank her for.
And a lot of people evidently suffered more than they perhaps thought they would out on the course in these conditions today. But she was so well prepared, wasn't she? I mean, she did nod to the fact, and something you just talked about earlier, is had she herself gone out too hard? Did she actually think that she might have overcooked it slightly in the early split? But the way she was able to recover and, as you say, not only maintain, but just better and better and better her time on everybody else by such a huge margin. That was an incredibly impressive ride. And I think that's been the narrative of her whole season, along the lines of what she was summing up in that post-race interview, is that she has felt the love. She has felt the support, not only from the team and the fans, but so many people important to her have put that ultimate belief in her this season. To get ill just when she was targeting the Tour was devastating for her, and I think I really felt that today, that this is the one she had to get, she wanted to get, and she's done it. And it's not only a joyful moment, but you could see the emotions starting to pour through her there. And I think we always get an honest take from Ry'Isi. It's not always emotional. Today you could really see that she was about to go.
Yeah.
In a nice way.
Absolutely. I was nearly going myself, to be honest.
Yes, we were.
There you are. We love our heroes in this sport, and it's something that's it's so honest in the way that it's achieved. You have to give absolutely everything, and she has on so many occasions, and it's never quite worked out for her. But I believe that makes this victory and this title all the more special for her. You could see that.
And you've got to be happy and you've got to be content.
Yeah.
And it's no good going to the best team in the world if you don't find your perfect fit, if you don't feel like you know, a certain technique is working for you going into races. And I think the way she has ridden things differently this year, it's working for her. And she's so, so happy in her own skin. You can see it.
She's going to be wearing a rainbow jersey next year. How lovely is that? I wonder what her first event will be where she wears it.
And I do believe her when she says she can't quite believe in the moment that she's done it, because every rider that dreams of turning professional dreams of the rainbow bands, and she's done it. And she will be able to stare at that jersey and start to believe it.
Well, they say that if you win a jersey, the way of celebrating is to sleep in it.
Well, I would. I'd never take it off unless they forced it off for the wrong discipline. But what I also love is that you always have the bands on your sleeve, and that's something I really enjoy in our sport, is you can always see that mark. And for anybody, new fans, which we so happily welcome into the fold, can join the sport and see, well, that person a few years back was world champion. You never lose that on your kit, and that's special.
Well, fabulous runs today, and congratulations to Anna van der Breggen as well, which is a phenomenal story. Demi Vollering as well for keeping this very much alive. It was really not fully resolved, our medals, until the very last. Demi Vollering with a bronze medal here. Anna van der Breggen taking silver, so 2 medals for the Netherlands, proving that the scene is, of course, as healthy as it's ever been. But what a story for Anna van der Breggen to come back out of retirement and still get a silver medal at the Worlds. Is just, well, mind-blowing.
It is mind-blowing, and you've got to add context to exactly what she's achieved, don't you? And I think, as I said before, she will be really happy with how today's gone. I think it's been interesting to watch her mood through the season, because you touched upon this much earlier on in the race today, that she's riding in a different way because the pressure is different. She's come back, her first return year to the peloton. She's not come in saying, I'm going to be the out-and-out favourite. I'm going to be coming in assuming I'm going to be the best. Whereas at one point in her career, we always looked to her to try and take the victory. That pressure has to an extent come off because of all the qualifying factors. She's been a very successful Team DS. To transfer her skills back onto the road is a big task, but she's done that, and as you say, securing silver today, I would imagine she will certainly go away smiling with that.
Well, I'm smiling. I just think it's an amazing performance. And what must that do? I hope it's not taken as almost a disappointment. Oh, can you imagine? She's back. It kind of pushes everyone one further step down the podium. But more than that, I think what people have to realise, and athletes in particular, is that Anna van der Breggen is a beacon. And if that can be achieved, and at the age that she is as well, then what's possible for everybody else? You have to appreciate what has been provided to us. Demi Vollering, bronze medal for her, despite the time tunnel disc at the back. It didn't spin quite as well as she would have hoped, finishing ultimately 13 seconds in arrears of Anna van der Breggen. But I think ultimately there'll be no shame in that. 2 medals for the Netherlands is a strong performance, but it's about Switzerland and Marlen Ry'Isi, who is our world champion. Well, we're just waiting for our podiums. Of course, the coveted rainbow bands, which can never be taken off you. They'll always be displayed, as Rebecca was reminding us. It will be on the sleeve caps of, indeed, Marlen Reusser for the rest of her career. What a lovely acknowledgement that is. And we'd just like to take a moment as well to just say thank you to everybody. It has just been brilliant. The course itself, the integrity of the course was impeccably observed. Didn't see a single person crossing the road. No loose dogs on off leashes. Just joy from the fans who, if you notice as well, nobody was giving a hello mum to the camera. Everyone was just watching the athletes. And that, to me, is proof positive of just how massive this sport is here and how loved it is. The fact that the World Championships finally come to Africa.
Do you know what? That is such an interesting observation, actually. And now you've said that, I'm thinking back to all the images of the crowds and how much they were utterly absorbed by the racing passing them. And we don't always get to see that these days. We don't enjoy that dedication of fans always. We see people more interested in getting in a selfie, unfortunately, which we've talked about a lot. But they were there for it. They were utterly excited about all the action unfurling in front of them, and that's what we want for the sport, especially in this part of the world. It's transcending this race, isn't it? It's inspiring and it's important.
Do you know what? It's kind of like, it's not about me, it's not about you, it's about us. And that's what today felt like.
Felt like a really special moment for the sport, didn't it?
Really did. And it's not over. We've got the men's, of course, to come once we have fated our champions. But it's been an absolute privilege, I've got to say. And an honour to sit next to Rebecca Charlton, who's been fabulous today. So, thank you.
Carlton Kirby, you are absolutely charming.
Well, you know, somebody's got to do it.
It's been such a privilege. It genuinely has.
The bugles are out. It sounds like a podium.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the award ceremony of the 2025 UCI Road World Championships in Kigali. Mesdames et messieurs, bienvenue à la cérémonie protocolaire de championnat du monde de route UCI 2025 à Kigali.
Ikaze kuri mwese muteraniye hano, tubaha ikaze mu birori byo gutanga ibihembo ku bakinnyi bitwaye neza muri shampiyona y'isi y'amagare y'ibihumbi 2025 UCI Road World Championships iri gukinirwa ahangaha i Kigali.
Awards ceremony of the 2025 UCI Road World Championships Women Elite Individual Time Trial. Cérémonie protocolaire de championnat du monde route UCI 2025 contre la montre individuelle Femme Elite.
Hagiye gutangwa ibihembo ku bitwaye neza mu cyiciro cy'abagore mu gusiganwa n'ibihe ku giti cy'umuntu Individual Time Trial ITT.
The medals and jersey will be presented by Mrs. Katerina Nash, UCI Vice President. Les médailles et le maillot seront remis par Madame Katerina Nash, vice-présidente de l'UCI.
Imidari n'imyambaro igenerwa abatsinze igiye gutangwa na Madame Katerina Nash, umuyobozi mukuru wungirije wa UCI.
In third place and winner of the bronze medal, representing the Netherlands. À la troisième place, et vainqueur de la médaille de bronze représentant les Pays-Bas.
Ku mwanya wa gatatu n'umudari w'umuringa byegukanwe n'umukinnyi ukinira ikipe y'Ubuholandi akaba ari
Demi Valerie.
Well, she'll take this, I am certain. To have two Netherlands riders on at the podium is exceptional. And the smiles tell you just how much she appreciates that bronze medal. I'd like to think of it as rose gold.
In second place, and winner of the
We do love a
silver
bit of
medal,
rose gold.
representing the Netherlands.
But yeah, three riders that were just outstanding today.
ku mwanya wa kabiri n'umudamu wa feza yegukanye n'umukinnyi ukinira ubuholande
Anna van der Breggen.
And just look at that, where she hears her name and realizes what she has achieved. A silver medal, that I like to call platinum, has been achieved by Anna van der Breggen.
I said, didn't I? I thought she'd be quite happy with that today, and you can really see that. This actually is a really special moment for her. This first year back, she's delighted. Look at that look.
And winner of the gold medal, representing Switzerland. À la première place, champion du monde de UCI et gagnant de la médaille d'or représentant la Suisse.
shampiyona y'isi yo gusiganwa ku magare n'umudari wa zahabu yegukanywe n'umukinnyi ukinira igihugu cy'ubusuwisi
Marlene Ry'Isi.
Oh, you know what? That is joy unbridled. Not only for her, but for cycling
amazing.
fans everywhere. What an achievement.
The look on Royce's face. I mean, Anna van der Breggen is pretty happy, but look at Royce. She is really starting to absorb this moment now, and it's such a common theme to have a post-race interview where a rider hasn't quite believed it or accepted it's happened yet, but this is her moment. She's put the jersey on. The World Championship bands now are upon her, and this is emotional and special.
Do you know, nobody could deny Marlene Ry'Isi anything at the moment.
And all the gifts will be presented by
Queen of the world.
What a podium.
Les cadeaux seront remis par Madame Clémentine Moukeka, secrétaire permanente au ministère des Affaires étrangères.
impano zigiye gutangwa na
Well, the Minister of Foreign Affairs is indeed handing out the goodies here, and the goodie bag, and indeed our eternal thanks as well for what was a fabulous competition. It will, of course, be the Swiss anthem that we hear ringing out. She still
look at
hasn't
that.
got over it. Well, you
Pure
know what?
joy.
She's got a cuddly gorilla.
I love that's what you've picked out in this moment,
Well,
the common theme.
Exactly.
But
I think Rebecca Charlton could probably say the same today, to be honest. But,
oh, I'm just enjoying every minute of watching her joy in this moment.
amazing. And of course, our thanks to those responsible for timing here. Tissot gets a rather lovely watch. The gifts just keep on coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, in honor of our new UCI World Champion, represent the national anthem of Switzerland. Mesdames et messieurs, en l'honneur de notre nouveau champion du monde UCI, nous vous présentons l'hymne national de la Suisse.
mudufashe nanone gushimira uwegukanye shampiyona y'isi y'amagare mu gukomeza kumuha icyubahiro twese duhaguruke mu gihe haririmbwa indirimbo yubahiriza igihugu cye cy'ubusuwisi.
Ladies and gentlemen, please one more time your applause for our medalists. Mesdames et messieurs, veuillez applaudir une dernière fois nos médaillés.
What a fabulous podium, and what a great way to round out this opening day.
Just genuine smiles all round, each and every competitor knowing what they've done there.
Lovely as well, to my mind, that the time trial has been kind of brought back essentially a week before the road race. So to give it almost more currency, I think, to have it separated as an event. And what a great way to open these championships.
It really has been, and we just got sight of the crowds there. What a special day. We've said it a few times, but I sincerely mean that. And yeah, the looks of these riders on this podium, they know what they did out there today. And Ry'Isi was ultimately too strong for everybody else. What a perfection she brought to the action today. She knew what she could do, but delivering it is another thing, isn't it? And she kept her calm, she kept to her strategy. She's got too much to hold now, too many prizes. Nice problem to have.
Exactly. Well, the photographers have to have their moment. She'll look into the lenses of every single one of them. They'll call her over, don't worry. You know, as a cameraman, he used to get all the best shots at the Worlds, and he actually put a deedly bopper on his lens.
A what?
It's a spring with a little furry animal on the top, and he used to just let it go, and they'd all look straight over his camera.
Wow, you learn something new every day. Well, when I'm sat next to you, Carlton, I do.
Oh, yeah. There is our friend Victor. Well, one gorilla and another, both cuddly. It's time then for a signing, of course, to appear at a charity auction near you soon. Now then, there is usually one that gets signed by everyone, all of the champions, and then there's a few others as well that appear somewhere else.
I have to just interject and say that actually I have been in a similar position when Lizzie Deignan asked me to hold her jersey after the podium, and I found there was a lot of pressure on her being able to get a smooth signature to sign the jersey.
Here we go.
We've all been there.
There we are. The first signature that we've had. If that's the collective jersey, I think it might be. Fantastic.
And she can just enjoy all of this process now, can't she? There's so much that goes with a victory like this.
Confirmation of how today finished. They've signed us off. And what a beautiful way to open up these World Championships. Coming up in possibly around 10 minutes' time, just enough time for us to have a nice cheese salad sandwich. Hopefully. We'll be back with you and the men's race here. My name's Carlton Kirby. Thanks to you at home and, of course, to Rebecca Charlton. What a great opener that we have had, and more racing to come today.
It couldn't have been better. We had so many questions. They've been answered.
To sink in the national anthem, the podium ceremony, and that jersey. What does it mean for you?
It was not so much time to sink in, but to stand on the podium and to hear the national anthem and to see some of the people you worked with. Like, I could stay there for one hour and just enjoy it. It's such a moment of bliss.
Because it took time to come. It took time to come, this world title. It makes it even more special.
Yeah, I mean, if it would have been 5 years ago like this, I think it's not the same. Like, I think in German, you can translate, we have a word that says Zangengeburt. It's a hard giving birth, a hard way to give birth. I think it felt kind of like this a bit. So it's really, really nice for me.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Well, I'm not quite sure that metaphor was entirely understood, but we'll go with it. I think she's saying about the effort that was involved, and the reward is joyous. There's a lot of pain, but in the end, it was worth it. That's how I'm
now just pondering like how my experience of labour would stack up in doing that course. I think I'd take the labour.
Next transmission is at 13:45. We might even get a tarte aux pommes as well, and a coffee, and maybe a cup of Rwandan tea. But for the time being, we have loved being your hosts, and we'll see you again in about 20 minutes' time when the racing begins again. Our coverage will start in about 7 minutes' time of the men's event. But for now, from me, Carlton Kirby, and from Rebecca Charlton, thank you for being with us for the ride. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.